Blessed greetings, friend. This is Pastor Vince once again, and we're back together for another edition of Ask the Pastor. Now, there's a question that you probably have on your mind, and many people out there are asking the same question, or they're thinking about the same question, and that is, why do Christians call one another brother and sister? Well, that's a good question, and as they say, no question is a silly question, so I'm glad you asked it. Think about the fact that also there are many churches in the world, right? And as Christians, we are divided by race, creed, color. We have quote-unquote black churches, white churches, Asian churches, Spanish churches, you name it. But at the end of the day, all of us are brothers and sisters in Christ. So again, you're wondering, Pastor, why do Christians call one another brother and sister? Well, Jesus taught his followers to address God as their Father, as it's found in Matthew 6 and 9. When he did this, God's Son invited us to join in his identity. We too are children of God. Since all Christians are children of God, we're related like brothers and sisters, part of the same family. When Paul wrote to the Galatians about their new life of faith, he explained it using the concept of adoption. Joining the family of God goes deeper than either biology or legal contracts. When God makes us part of his family, we gain a new identity that transforms everything about us. In the Roman world of the Galatians, the male head of the household, called the paterfamilias, could adopt another adult man in order to pass on his legacy and wealth to keep it safe for the future. Even if the adopted man used to be a slave, after being adopted, he would enjoy all the rights and privileges of being a firstborn son. He inherited everything, including a new identity and purpose. In addition to this, Paul probably had in mind the Old Testament relationship between the people of Israel and the Lord, which the Bible also describes using the language of family. For example, God called Israel his firstborn son. That's in Exodus 4 and 22. And Isaiah referred to the Lord as Israel's father. That's in Isaiah 63 and 16, as well as 64 and 8. Thanks to Jesus, now it's not just Jews who can have this privileged position. God freely offers it to all of us. Paul tells us that when we become part of God's family, our identity changes from that of a slave to that of children and heirs of God's promise to Abraham. That's in Galatians 3 and 29. When we belong to Christ, we are adopted through Jesus into God's family. So regardless of who we are, we all become children who inherit God's kingdom alongside our brother Jesus. This new identity is the most important thing about us, and it should define how we interact with our fellow believers. We might not always feel like we're with family when we're around other Christians, but it's important to remember that what we have in common, which is our shared identity as children of God, is much more important than the differences between us. Our relationship to one another in God is a bond tighter than any other because it was tied by Jesus' sacrifice of his life on the cross. Therefore, we are called to love one another as Jesus loved us. That's from John 15, 9 through 17. So we are all brothers and sisters, no matter what race, creed, or color we are. If we call ourselves Christians, we are truly brothers and sisters. Friend, I hope that answers your question. Stay tuned here on the podcast for another edition of Ask the Pastor. Be blessed and have a great day.